So how are you guys?
We're good. Tired these days. Our daughter's she's just over two, going on 27 months. So, excuse me, and we're kind of in the phase of a little bit of the terrible twos. So,
Ooh,
yeah, which is pretty
I'd like to hear
nuts.
more about that. I was gonna tell you, the summer is almost over and school starting back, but that doesn't apply to you guys yet.
No, not yet.
Hey,
How
Sean.
old? Hello. Yeah, this is Sean.
Nice to meet you.
Because you've got two.
Oh God, no. I only have one.
Okay, you've only got one. Okay.
But he's 12, so I might as well have four.
Welcome to Fathernetics, Fatherhood Unfiltered. I'm Jamil. Welcome to the podcast.
You can never find somebody do it like me. I'ma turn it all the way up, cause it kamikaze. Go ahead and try, baby. You are gonna see that you
Well,
never
okay,
ever
so
find somebody
he's
do it
going
like
from I have to think about it for a second. He's going from fifth grade to no, golly, sixth grade to seventh grade this year. So he's switching schools and he's going from having one teacher for all subjects. So that one class where, he knows all the kids all year long. Now he's going
Right.
to one school with seven courses with seven teachers. So I remember what that was like. And I'm like, man,
Yeah,
I mean, just getting
it's a
lost
lot.
ways and like who's who and are you friendly and 10,000 faces you have to compete with now, right? I say that hyperbolically. It's not 10,000, but it's a big
It's a
number.
lot. Like it's,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lot more. And yeah, no, it's definitely, I don't know, it's exciting, but it's also really scary.
Yeah. That
It's
transition.
more than 10 people. It's more than 10
Yeah,
kids. Yeah.
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 No, that's a lot.
Well, hey, let
Um,
me do some housekeeping real quick. So,
yeah,
I
of
first of
course,
all, thank you for joining us or joining me. I always say
of
us.
course.
It's like it's a team, but it's really just me. But I appreciate you guys doing this. The goal of Fathernetics, as you guys know, is to really get perspectives from fathers on fatherhood, from how you became parents from the LGBTQ perspective, and how that closely kind of ties to just fatherhood in general, whether you're straight, gay, or whatever. And then also your journey on how you became a family, how you expanded your family is always quite interesting to most individuals. And then just really trying to ask some of the questions, just have it meander. There's nothing scripted here. I may have a question or two in my head, but it's really just kind of going off of what we chat about. I see that face, Sean.
Awesome. I like it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I know you talked about the terrible twos. I'm really interested in
Yeah.
what that looks like because when I got Jacob, when my husband Nick and myself got Jacob, he was a little bit over 4. So we skipped all of those early kind of developmental phases, if you will, like the infancy and the diapers and the sleepless nights, and we skipped all of that. So
Great.
we're fortunate in that area. There's some advantages to that, and there's some disadvantages to that, but I don't know anything about sleepless nights or terrible twos or anything like. So I'm curious. What does that look like?
Oh, you're lucky. Well,
In a way.
yeah. No, it's I think like when we first because we had Maisie, our daughter, through via surrogacy. And so when we first had her, there was, I think there was a kind of that initial, oh my gosh, what do we do? But also just kind of like you just go with it, like you don't really have a choice. And so there were a couple like kind of getting used to the bit of like the more of a usual wake ups and stuff. When she was younger, but to be honest, she was pretty as a
As a
baby.
newborn and a baby, she was really good. I mean, we were told by certain people, oh, and you've got to wake her up at a certain amount of times during the night to feed her. She's got to eat, blah, blah, blah. And our moms were at the school where they're like, don't wake a sleeping baby. If she's sleeping, let her sleep. She'll wake up if she's
Don't touch
hungry
her.
and she'll
Yeah.
let you know. You
Yeah, I was
don't
gonna
need
say
to.
she's not gonna starve herself sleeping. I mean, she's
Well,
gonna.
yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like it's, yeah.
Hopefully she has a survival instinct of some sort. Um, so she was really good. She was really easy. So I think when the kind of terrible two, I guess it was kind of 10 months, it kind of started where she would wake up in the middle of the night just screaming. And yeah, she learned that she could stick her leg through her crib bars and get it stuck and she'd
Oh yeah.
scream.
She's super like they become, I mean, I hate to use the word manipulative, but like
Yeah.
they know how to
I think
get
that's
you.
accurate.
That
Yeah.
is, yeah, right. It's like and you fall for it, and even I think in the beginning we were like, oh no, like we're not gonna, we're gonna stay strong, but it's hard. And yeah, like she's even now taken to, she'll put her because she knows her sticking her leg through the rung of her crib.
She knows we're watching.
She knows we're watching.
She knows
So
the
she's on
monitor
camera,
is.
so
she
she
shows
knows.
the monitor her teddy bears sometimes.
And sometimes it's not really stuck in there, and sometimes it's just
yeah. She'll just pick it out and then start
smart.
screaming, and then we run in and she pulls it back in. And she's like, "Hey."
Yeah.
Dramatic. Uh-oh.
So
I mean, we're both actors. So
Who does she get? I was gonna say, who does she get it from?
yeah, and we're both a bit dramatic for
Both
sure. So I was
sides.
like, okay, we're definitely. I see it. Like I love it because it's definitely fun. So I think we got a little confident in the beginning. We're like, oh, you know what? This is kind of easy. And then that like the real sleepless nights hit. And
Well, yeah, we're looking at with friends and who have children, and they're like, "Oh God, these sleepless nights." We're like, "Oh, that's not us." And then it became us.
Is what happened, right?
Yeah.
And then we got our share, and it's hard. Like I'm not gonna lie, it takes a toll on work. Like we're both like, luckily our work is flexible. Like we work in primarily real estate, so we do a lot of work from home, and so we're fortunate enough to be around Maisie a lot. But it's really impossible to get stuff done when she's not allowing you, or exhausted and throwing tantrums, and and then it takes a toll on your relationship for sure in a bit, like because you're exhausted and you're like once you finally get them to sleep, if they're sleeping, it's all you have energy for is just to kind of, I hate to say it, but like look at your phone or go through Instagram, or just
Veg on
the couch, and which these days, like the news in the world is so chaotic that it's like
You started
so
on
right. It's just it's where we've kind of gotten right now like into a bit of a more of a
better routine.
Like we did, and you're constantly, there's so many different schools of thought out there around sleeping and co-sleeping, and do you let them cry it out? Do you go in? Do you and we have all of our friends kind of have different ways of doing it. So there was no real roadmap. It's just kind of up to you. And hearing the crying is really, really hard. And I think I'm one that would probably cave the first and be like, I'm like, oh, it's got to be enough 10 minutes, right? He's like, no, it's been 1 minute.
It's been 15 seconds.
Yeah. So he's been great in terms of like, as a partner. I've been like, he's like, go for a walk and like, just go outside, because it's hard for me to hear the screaming. And
it's not that I'm heartless. I don't like hearing the screaming either.
You have a goal in mind, it sounds like. Yeah.
And I'm stubborn.
Okay.
And Maisie's stubborn too. So
I was going to say, these traits that us as dads have, I think sometimes we forget that we have them until we start to see them in our kids being amplified. And you're like, why are you that? It's because I'm that way. Right.
Yeah.
I have like 10,000 questions just out of just what you said. But before we go on, let's take 30 seconds here. Have you introduce yourselves and tell us just real short version, elevator pitch of who you are as we introduce you to the audience.
Sure. My name's Louis. I born and raised in Vancouver, British Columbia. Met Sean via Tinder of all places.
How'd that happen?
Right, I know. I'd been living in LA, and I had it down there, and I thought it was just an American app. And then when I moved back up here, my friends were like, "Oh," I said, "Yeah, no, I've got it." And so he was one of the he was one of the first people that I kind of came across up here, and we're both huge movie fans. We're both actors as well, and so we also love horror movies. And one of his profile pictures was a movie Halloween, the 1978 movie Halloween. And so I was like, oh, let's give this guy's profile a look. And then he had one of his mom. And so I really kind of liked that.
My mom and me.
Yeah. And not just his mom. And, and then
clarifying.
Yeah. And then so we kind of hit it off there, and
because I had been trying to date on other apps. I'm Sean. I'm 47. Almost born and raised in Vancouver area. And just I was on other apps. I was trying to date and not being successful, and wondering if wanted to go on a second date with me. And then my female friends were all like, "Go on Tinder, go on Tinder." And I said, "No, it's just for straight people." And they said, "No, it's not for it's for everyone." I said, "No, it's just for straight people." And they said, "Well, it's also just fun to judge people." And I said, "Oh, that is fun. I'll do that." And so I downloaded the app with my friend. Had taken my grandmother to get her hair done, and we sat there. And within the first 30 minutes, I came across his profile and had swiped the good direction.
Wow,
And
you are lucky. Look at that.
very, very, very fortunate.
It was very lucky.
And then within a week, I think, or so, we had our first date, and we were supposed to go to a movie and go for a drink at a pub first and go to a movie. And then we met at the pub, and we missed all the movie show times and closed the pub, and just we're talking so much.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. And I think the reason I was laughing earlier is I think I have the misconception of Tinder being for straight people as well. I don't know. I've been with my husband for 22 years. So Tinder, I don't know anything about it.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Well, fantastic. So the question that I had, just based on some of the things that you guys said, between two dads, because obviously Nick and myself, we parent differently, right? So there had to be some sort of a conversation initially that said, hey, let's align on how we're going to do this, right? You have your way, I have my way. We need to meet in the middle. Here are some of the places where you're strong. Here are some of the places where you're weak. Weak may not be the right term to use, right? But we can feed off of each other, right? And you can't have that full conversation on day one because you don't know what it is until that kid presses that button and you're like, this is not it for me. So did you guys have a similar conversation about, hey, these are, whenever I raise my hand and I say I've got this, then I've got it, kind of step away, let me handle it, kind of a conversation?
Kind of. We did not the marriage prep course. We did a baby prep kind of course it was like a nurse who ran it. And one of the things she had said to us was like, her and her husband had said kind of in the middle of the night, whatever happens is kind of like no fight zone. You can't get mad at each other for anything said while the child is like losing it in the middle of the night. So you kind of let that all go. And in the morning you start fresh. And we kind of took that on. And, when it came to like just knowing who would get up, I don't know. We didn't really talk about it. It was just kind of like, we went with it. And then sometimes one of us would step out of the room and be like, I'm done. You need to go in. And that's just, yeah.
And I think especially recently, like we have more of a, like, we can see, because we know each other so well, also like where kind of our threshold is with kind of like, okay, we've reached a point where it's like, okay. And so we'll kind of let the other person step out and kind of sub in. But in terms of, I mean, we did talk about kind of like parenting styles, like leading up to before Maisie was born, just about more kind of things like education and like kind of boundaries with family and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and then, discipline was something that we're like, okay, obviously we want to instill discipline. I think we both do, like, you and your husband, we do also kind of have different ways of disciplining and kind of going about things. So I think,
are you trying to mirror what you experience as far as discipline is concerned, or are you trying to change that completely just based on how you feel about it?
I think we're both trying to be different than what we grew up with.
But I think a little bit of both.
But there's certain aspects of what I grew up with that worked, and then certain aspects that didn't work. So I'm trying to
we both were very, very close to our mothers, and still are. And we both had, I think sometimes there were maybe father issues where there was a little bit of fear.
That's a good way to put it. Thank you.
Right. And my thing was I'd never, ever want to raise or discipline a kid with using fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember the feeling of that and how just alone it felt and just how kind of alienating. And now having a daughter or a kid, I'm just like, no, I want to do it the right way. I am, though, kind of, to be honest, like finding ways where I'm like, okay, what is that right way? It's hard. It's like, where do you find that line of discipline where it's firm, but it's not scary. It's not loud. I don't want to raise my voice. There was a lot of raising my voice, or a lot of voice raised growing up. That is not really a sidetrack, but just go back about kind of what we talked about, like in terms of us having a conversation before. We always said with us, we don't want to kind of have heated arguments in front of Maisie. That was really important to us.
Yeah, but yeah, we don't deal with our stuff in front of her.
And I think both of our parents, sometimes growing up, it was
when I was really little, when my mother and father were living together, it was very chaotic. My dad was in a really bad place, and so the relationship was very unhealthy and very unstable. So that was something that, so glad and proud of my mom when she left him and things chilled out, and then got a stepfather who's amazing. But those early years, I still remember the chaos, and I remember the yelling, and I remember an inconsistency, because where my father was mental health wise, how he reacted in situations was different. Sometimes something would set him off, and it would be something little, and all of a sudden you're being yelled at and sworn at and screamed at, and you're scared. And then sometimes you do something huge, and he was kind of like, haha, that's funny. And you're like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Like,
does not compute.
I just wrong. So I don't know. You're constantly not sure how your behavior is going to be reacted to. So for me, it's consistency with Maisie. When she does certain things, she knows that dad's not going to be happy, but he's going to be, consistent. So that's, I guess, the word that I want to be with her is consistent.
So I think one of the things that we really focus on trying to better understand on Fathernetics is the intentionality that goes into parenting. Because there are several levels to parenting that people will say, do it this way, do it that way, which is fine. I think all of those are valid to absorb. And it comes down to really trying to sort that out with how that kid is developing their personality, right? We may want to go left and they're like, no, we're going right. So now what? Throw the whole playbook out and start again. So with the intentionality that goes into, hey, I am going to pull from my history, all the things I loved about growing up as a kid, and pour that into our kid, and then try to remove all the things that we don't like. Oftentimes we see undercorrections, overcorrections, and then we see the what is the word I want to use? The perpetuation, if you will, of the same things, a cycle, right? That got us to where we are today. So I think that this type of podcast kind of enables people to go, oh, it's okay to not know what to do at 2 years old, or okay to make an error or a mistake. One of the challenges that I came across when I got Jacob is not having a resource, not really having somewhere to go to say, this is potentially what it could look like. There are tons of stuff out there for straight couples. There are not a lot of resources out there for LGBTQ couples. And while there are similarities, there are some stark differences that we all have to deal with. Being two dads or two moms or whatever, that we all have to care for and make sure that we are paying attention to. So I guess I'm curious, have you ever come across any circumstances or situations where you being dads has caused some issues that you're trying to kind of shield from your kid, but knowing that you have to deal with that as an LGBTQ couple?
So far, we've had little encounters out for walks where people are like, oh, who's the dad? And you say, oh, we're both the dad. And then they go, oh, well, one of you is the dad and one of you is the uncle. And we're like, no. And so just trying to explain those conversations and knowing that that's going to be an issue when she gets older. And then the only other little thing that I can think of is she's gotten to the habit of calling us mom every once in a while. She's like, Mama. It's like, oh no. So it's just like, that's the only things I can think of any challenges we've come up with that.
How do you deal with that? Or do you think it's an appropriate age to deal with that?
With her miscalling us name,
right.
Calling us mom?
Right.
For me right now, it's just gentle correction of like, oh no, it's Dada.
Yeah. And she, she she, when we point to photos of us, or I'd say about 98% of the time, she calls us dada.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, she knows that's how we
I think
identify as dada.
Confusing because she does watch a little TV and she watches some Bluey, and then so it's mom, and so I think that she does get a little bit like, oh, there's a mom, so one of them must be mom.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it's one of those things where that's why I am so into expanding our like LGBTQ community, especially with parents, is because I don't really know how to navigate that. Like I to be honest, I do think about as she gets older, and obviously we're gonna have, inevitably we're gonna have that conversation. I totally want open communication and honest communication. And but yeah, to how to kind of navigate explaining that to her, where I guess there's a part of me is like, is she going to feel like, oh, I missed out on that, and that for us to be able to kind of explain the idea that it's gender is not something that's specific to kind of to a parent's love. Like we, Sean and I think both happen to be super close to our moms. And that was just,
so we're very mature.
I don't know if it was coincidence or it's just, yeah. So yeah, it is, there's, I don't know if that
would just be nice to hear.
That does answer the question. Yeah. I think that's, one of the things that we came across is knowing what we know, but not knowing how to explain it to a child. Because,
right.
I can have a conversation with you all day about LGBTQ and what, sex and all that, what that looks like, what it means to me. And, we're fighting for this and that's all great. We can communicate that way. We can even agree to disagree or whatnot. But when you're talking to a kid, you can't use that high functioning level of reasoning because they're not plugged into the world at that level yet. So we have a 12-year-old, so we have conversations about this now, along with the other stuff, the girlfriends and the birds and the bees and all the stuff that's coming your way, guys.
Right.
But
what's that like? Is it like,
man? I will tell you that your kids will tell you when they are ready to have these conversations, because they'll ask you that one question that will make you want to sit down. So it's like, oh, wait a minute, like, where'd that come from? Okay, now it's time to unwrap that onion. It's an easy conversation to have. It is awkward.
Right.
So it's just really pushing through that and knowing that it's preferential for you to have that conversation with your kid as opposed to them learning it from somewhere else and getting it all wrong. So some of the conversations that we have are often, what does a same-sex couple look like? What do your friends say about us? We introduce ourselves as his dads. When we do he wants, what do you call it? I have to start using a different term. What is it? We can't use play date anymore because he's too old to hear play date.
Right.
Play date anymore. Okay.
You're like, yeah.
Right. So when he wants to hang out with people we've never met before, and I write, hi, my name is Baba on an index card so he can give it to them at school. I always sign it dads. So that whoever's reading that, it's two husbands over here. So if you're not interested, don't reply. If you're okay with it, please reach out and we'll rock from there. So there's always that intentionality in making sure that every opportunity that we have to expose his social circle to a gay couple doesn't indirectly harm him. So that's in every thread of all of our lives. And I think that is an awesome thing because we've come across so many of his friends and adults that are like, we don't care. Our kids are best friends. Let's hang out. Let's really plug this in. They need to be friends from now until their senior year in high school. Let's make it happen. So I think those are some of the amazing rewards that come out of that. But I digress. I want to know about your surrogacy journey. How did that come about? Like, how do you have that conversation that says, are you ready for a kid? And then have that person go, yeah, I might be, or I might not be.
we literally talked about it on our first date that we both
Yeah.
wanted to be fathers. It was something that
Live on
growing
fast
up,
forward. Everything
Right.
quick for you guys.
I know. It was, we put it all on the table.
it's one of those things. It's like, get it out of the way. If this person's not interested in that eventually, then maybe it's not meant to be. But it was one of the reasons I didn't come out to my family until I was quite a bit older. I was basically 30. And it was part of the reason that I had trouble with my sexuality. It wasn't because like I had a really accepting family. I had gay people in my family. So it wasn't like something that I ever really would have feared coming out to them. My grandmother was the one who told me what homosexuality was in just like this really nonchalant, cool way when I was a kid. And it was just, for me, I remember as a kid wanting to be a dad and thinking if I was gay, I couldn't be a dad. And so I really was repressing that, being like, no, I want to be a dad. Like, this is something I want. And then as I grew older, part of it was that I was just like, well, no, but I've got to be myself. So I can't keep trying to be someone else. And then the realization came about that, oh, I can be gay and dad. And then, so yeah, on our first date, it was something I said, I want to be a dad. And he's like, I want to be a dad. So we kind of just knew that. And then we kind of, when we got engaged to be married, we said, shortly after we're married, we got to start looking into this and how we're going to go about it. And just went to our doctor, our family doctor referred us to a fertility clinic and kind of just started the testing of, the sperms and seeing where we go from there. And then it was the try to find an egg donor. So this was back in January of 2000. What year were we married? This was 2017 that we started the process. And then so finding an egg donor was just like going to female friends being like, hey.
And we had like different female friends kind of approach us as well, which was obviously
that's nice.
But yeah, super nice. And so like at one point we had one friend, another point, like
and then for different reasons they fell off. Some people had strings attached with their eggs, so we were like, no.
Yeah, and then
because my sister I approached my sister and I said, like early on in the process, and I said, well, if you gave us eggs and then be like, and my sister was like, that's weird. I don't feel comfortable with that. And I was like, oh, okay. And then not a couple of years into the journey, she was helping a friend who was going through fertility issues. And she said she had the thought, God, if I had a sister, I'd give her my eggs like that. And then she's like, oh my God, I have a brother who needs eggs. Why am I not giving him my eggs? So she came over and was like, if you guys want my eggs, you can have them. And then she's like, you just have to ask mom first. And my mom's response was, well, as long as Sean's not fertilizing them. And I said, well, we're not European royalty. So we just knew from there that we're going to be our embryos. And so that's something that we're also, as a gay couple, so fortunate is that our daughters genetically, both of us, and like it's so rare, and we're like,
we're just so fortunate.
Thank my sister enough
for
doing that. So then we made those embryos, and then it was a matter of finding a surrogate, and that was a long.
That was, I think,
process.
the hardest. It almost broke us, not necessarily as a couple, but just as like being parents and the possibility of being parents, because we
kept meeting these women online who were like, I want to be your surrogate. And then you'd go through the process with them and spend money and time and trying to develop this relationship. And then all of a sudden
we were matched with 3 different surrogates before landing with the surrogate that carried Maisie. And that was over the span of probably like 5 years. And just, getting so close. Yeah. Like getting to the point of
waiting for when
I can't even like express how much, financial, like you're in it there and you're willing to do whatever because you've got this, you're like, all I care about is getting my kid. And, but, and emotionally too, like it's almost like dating because it's like you're getting to know these people and getting close to them. You also have to get to know their family. Like it's a big process. Like we were so close. It's like we had legal papers signed. Like it was
one of them, we were just waiting to schedule the embryo transfer, and she kept procrastinating it. And we're like, had to sit her down and be like, so what's going on? And she's like, I feel like you guys are forcing me. And we're like, no, we just thought you wanted to do this. And that was a really long time spent with her. It was almost 2 years. and part of it was because of COVID had happened. So
that was kind of
that
threw a wrench
threw a wrench into things and slowed things down. So the heartbreak of losing her, and then we're like,
and then our last like happened to get pregnant.
She called us one day. She's like, "Oh, I got pregnant," and we're like, "Oh."
So that was kind of
like
ruined
it for us.
It was a hard,
like, wait, that was not with your kid,
right? Yeah. So
we
were, again, we had gotten so far along, and
we were so
excited.
We took a month off, and our lawyer called us. She's like, "We got to have a team meeting," and she said, "You guys are gonna be dads. You got to just figure it. Like, no matter how it happens, it's gonna happen." She said, "So you got to start looking into adoption. You got to start looking at every road available. If the end goal is dads, you're gonna get there, but you got to work for it and try every way possible." She said, "Do one more Facebook post to all your friends saying that you're looking for a surrogate." So I wrote up one and sent it out there, and a girl I went to college with started kind of tagging people in it. And she had been a doula, so she knew people from the doula community. And one of them was this young woman who lives a few hours from us. And she's like, I just finished a surrogacy journey. I don't think I want to do it again. Or she's like, I know I don't want to do it again, but I'll answer questions. And so I started talking to her, and we just hit it off. And we're both knitters, and she had a great sense of humor.
Yeah, I saw that. You're very like Tom the swimmer, the knitter.
Right?
I can't dive, and I'm not as in good shape. But anyway, we happened to be driving through her town, going on a holiday, and she's like, "Oh, just pull over and we'll go for a walk." So we met her, and her husband ended up showing up to the walk. And as we're leaving, he's like, "She should do this for you." And we're like, "That's awkward to say." And she's like, "Yeah,
very progressive."
To that. And then, right, and then a couple of weeks later, she's like, "Can you guys FaceTime?" And we got on FaceTime, and she's like, "So I have to do this for you." And it was just, yeah. So now she's like a dear friend, and we see her as much as we can.
And she's like, all of it, I mean, I don't think I've ever met someone that's as kind and generous as her, because in Canada it's altruistic, so you can't
pay your
legally, you can't pay them. It's so you reimburse, and you obviously you gift, and you do everything you can. But it's these women are literally doing it out of the goodness of their heart, and it's just it's mind blowing.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, she and her whole family, like that's another thing is they have three boys, and they're all just so fantastic. And the first time we met her boys, like we had them over to our place, and they gave us hugs, and it's just like it's just like, wow, these people, like,
yeah,
they're just so generous and so kind, and literally just want to see you have a family, and will do what it takes. And it's so, yeah, she's will be a part of our family forever. And
so what an awesome journey. And I say that sincerely because I just had a conversation with someone that went through the surrogacy process here in the United States. There are some big differences in the process, and certainly the stark differences is in the astronomical cost of it all. So for you guys to have gone through that process, and then it'd be like the last step and it all comes together, that's very fairy tale. You should write a book, guys, if anybody's interested.
Right. Yeah.
Feel free to do that. So from, I guess, from a self-care perspective, how do you guys balance that, understanding that you have a 2-year-old? I know that a lot of free time and the ability to like go away, or like quiet time, or leave for a massage, or maybe go watch a movie by yourself, and have somebody else, your other partner, watch the kid, or maybe you have babysitters on Fridays for date nights, or what does that look like for you guys as dads?
Because part of it is that we both work from home as realtors, so we don't do daycare. We're there with her 24/7 basically, which we're thinking is becoming a bit of an issue, where now she has trouble not being around us. But it has been such an amazing opportunity to spend all that time.
Well, and we've got such a huge support system around us. Like both of our moms, Sean's mom will come in for 3 days. She lives kind of an hour and a half away. So she'll come in for 3 days and let us go for a date night, or we get to sleep in because she sleeps, and takes care of Maisie in the morning. My mom comes once a week and has like a granddaughter and gram day and takes her out. And so we can kind of just do stuff around the house or just get a nap or
one of Louis' closest friends is a kindergarten teacher, and she actually lives a block away. Yeah. So she's been available to pop over for an hour or two here and there. And I mean, she's about to give birth herself, so that's going to end. But and then we then just other friends who, and our niece will come. So we're very fortunate. We do get to go out to have date nights. And then sometimes it's like I need to go to the gym. I'm just going to step out, and the other one just says, yeah, sure. Yeah. And I do hot yoga in the mornings. So sometimes
I've tried that. Oof.
Yeah.
Well, I like the 7 a.m. class. This one's actually not too hot, so it's not too bad. But as I'm trying to tiptoe out the door, and then Maisie will start crying, and I'm like, and he's like, just go. And
like I had a friend who she took me because it was right. We were in the middle of like the kind of like the couple months where the sleeping was not happening a lot. And so she just was like, come meet me. And I met her and she took me for a foot massage and it was like the best thing ever. And just like, so we've got people that are like, they know kind of when we need certain things, but it is hard.
How's your village expanding? Do you guys, I know you have those individuals to kind of help you, mom, sister, and cousins and stuff like that. But do you have like other gay parents in your bubble now?
We're working on it. Yeah, we've got one other couple that we will hang out with every once in a while, and they now have 2 kids. And then we just went to a queer family event on Sunday. It was like at a gay club, but they had opened it up during the day, and they've got the parking lot, and they put a face painting stand and a bubble pit, and they had a little kind of drag show for the kids where the drag queen's dressed as a hot dog, and so we want to go to more of those types of events and meet more couples because we want Maisie to see her family in the world around her.
Her representation. It's so important.
So we're working on it. We're reaching out to anytime we see another same-sex couple that's got kids on Instagram. We're like, hey, we're same-sex couple with kids. You want to hang out?
So we're always open to meeting new families. It's hard to like I think a lot of like we've met some like online and stuff like through social media, but they live kind of on like the outskirts, so it is not super easy to get together. But
no, I would say that for us, we kind of are in the same bubble. We have some gay friends here in town that are parents as well. They actually went through the I don't know that I mentioned this, but we went through the adoption process here in the state of Arizona. So our experience is not through surrogacy, but it was a very, very, very easy process for us, which they also went through the same process, probably like months apart from us. So when we met them, we were like on the same trajectory, on the same journey. Their experience, even though it was the same process, was completely different, right? So they had a lot more turbulence than we did, but we kind of all bonded over that. So now it's been 7 years now, and we hang out with them at least once a month. Their kids, they have 2 kids that they adopted. We have the one. They're all close. They're all growing up seeing 2 dads and this really cool kid that they're looking up to. They're like 7, 6, 7. And Jacob's 12. So they're like, we want to be just like Jacob. And Jacob has 2 dads. We have 2 dads. So it's like that type of bonding experience, which is why I think it's so important to continue to kind of expand the community and pull in people with similar, right? Not same, but similar type of family dynamic. And the whole parenting from the LGBTQ perspective and having 2 dads or 2 moms, it's still new, right? It's exploding, right? There are a lot more people that are getting out there and adopting or through surrogacy, expanding their family. But 15 years ago, that wasn't really a real thing, So there is still so much ground to cover, so many questions to ask, so many ways to get comfortable with ourselves being dads, because we've been told, kind of like with you, Sean, we've been told for so long, you're not going to be a parent because you can't have one naturally. Well, that's not the case. So now we're unpacking all of that, as my therapist would say, trauma, to make sure
Totally.
we don't pass that down to our kids inadvertently because we're dealing with those challenges. So I think it's awesome that you guys are reaching out, trying to expand your community and connecting with the right people that have the same perspectives in life. Here in the United States, it's a little challenging given the political climate and how things change very quickly, and the kind of conversations, believe it or not, our kid is 12 years old, and from the first Trump presidency there was questions about what that means, what does that look like. My friend is a Trump supporter. Are we Trump supporters? Why aren't we Trump supporters? So it's like
I
can
can't
we
even
have
imagine.
so it's like
Like, how much time do you have?
Yeah. Oh
so
my
we've
God.
done a lot of we are always very transparent, right? We want to be
Right.
honest, we want to tell the truth. We try to take the emotion out, and we try
Yeah.
to be more educational. We don't support this individual. However, that doesn't mean that you need to disparage your friend for saying that they do, because they are also 7, 8 years old. They don't know what they're talking about. They're repeating what mom and dad said. So we can't burn them at the stake for repeating what their parents are. So it's like, okay. So those kind of conversations and nuances are things that Nick and I have to sit down and prepare for, because they're very visceral to us as adults. So I mean, we're like, okay, we're gonna knives out. We're gonna have this conversation, but you can't do that with your kid, because then he's gonna
100%.
go to school with daggers and causing issues.
Right? Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that I want to say are in your future, but you're probably experiencing. And kids are like sponges; they pick up things that you have no clue that they even heard through the door 10 weeks ago and are bringing up today. So parenting is fun.
Right? Yeah. You're kidding.
And I know you said it's hard. What would you say are some of the surprising components of having a kid up until now, 2 years old, that you've come across since day one? Maybe some misconceptions that you thought existed. I know a lot of people are like, girls are harder to raise than boys. I don't know that that's true. A lot of them are like, well, girls require more maintenance. Girls, I know the sleeping through the night thing is not true because you guys are going through that now. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe is it easier as a gay couple to shop for a girl? I know that's like so old.
I think
No, but I mean,
people always asked us, like, do you hope it's a boy? Do you hope it's a girl? And we're like, either way, we're going to be just so happy. But we both kind of deep down were like wanting a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it, it's like I was a gay kid. I was into the theater and I like musicals and I like, and so the thought of having to teach someone sports is scary to me, or, not that a girl can't be into sports and auto mechanics, but I selfishly wanted a princess. Like, I want to go to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, damn it. And I
think that's like, this is going to sound crazy, but like it is like we have this, like, we love Disneyland. And so they've got the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique there, and we're just not that a boy can't go and
no boy could go to
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, but I just feel like the likelihood of a girl is going to be more that's going to want to do that.
I feel like
we're like,
we'll
oh my
get
God,
there and she'll be like, no.
Yeah, she could not.
Wait, okay, so you guys have been to Disney, it sounds like, right?
Oh yes, many times.
Yeah.
Yes.
So was that like a life check mark for you guys? This was it. This the boutique was like.
Well, the boutiques now, it's the thing that we
like
want to go.
Favorite stuffed animal that's like she carries around everywhere is Baloo Bear from The Jungle Book. And we got it.
Baby Baloo that we got when we were in Disneyland right before because we did one transfer that didn't take. And right before that transfer, after a surrogate had dumped us, we booked a trip to Disney.
We're like, we need something happy. Like,
we needed to be,
so we went to Disneyland and
we started buying baby stuff.
And we had just got off the phone with, I think, our surrogate, Sarah, at the time. And she was like, okay, we're ready to transfer. We're like, oh my God. And so we were right by the Splash Mountain. And I remember us, like, we got emotional. And we went into like the little store there, and we got this baby Baloo, and that's her favorite toy. And
so how's living vicariously for that? The reason I say that is because we've been to Disney as well. We've been to quite a few places. We travel quite a bit, but every experience, even if it's going to like a place I've never been to, it's like looking through his eyes and going through that journey, it magnifies the entire experience. Is that how you feel as well?
Well, yeah,
Oh,
I mean, so we're
100%.
excited for her to get a bit older. Because we've traveled with her to Mexico a couple times. This and as young and traveling can be difficult, especially under two on a plane, and people aren't happy to see you.
But you
And
did first. Look at that.
Right.
she was great when she was about 10 months old. That was a great trip. But then by 18 months, it was 20 months, she was a bit awful. But we're so excited to see, like, to go to places we've already been and see her experience them. And yeah, we just want to show her the world.
Because that's what it is.
Totally.
Like, it's there's nothing more amazing than like watching them explore and like discover life, or just the most things that you just like. Even when she started walking, like, she became obsessed with leaves, and I was like, I never even gave them a second chance. Like, and you just
she still is way more into plants than I've ever been.
Yeah.
That's
It's a shame because we don't have a big thumb.
So the hard part, right? What's the answer to that? And I'll give you an example from my perspective. I think raising Jacob has shine a flashlight in the corners of my world, my own personal self, that has made me go, wow, I didn't realize I was like that, or I didn't realize I was doing that one thing. Some of his mannerisms, some of the things he says, some of his reactions, he gets those from me, and those are exactly the things that trigger me. So it's like, in what world is this? Like, what am I doing? So it's caused me to really kind of slow down and say, that way that I've reacted to that, was that the best possible reaction to that? Can I dial that back? How I engage with him when I am upset. Do I praise enough during the good times, or am I just reacting during the bad times? That's kind of like the unfolding of it. No one tells you about that, right? How to manage your own emotions around your kids. Because emotions just they drive you sometimes, and sometimes you forget that you're in it. So that's one of my examples of how hard
in those moments. Is it their dysregulation, or is it my dysregulation right now that's causing the issue?
Right.
And for me, it's like trying to figure out how to be more patient, not just with her, but with myself.
Are you patient? No.
I'm a horribly impatient person.
Louis, why are you shaking your head?
I love him dearly, but no, I think, it's like we know our kind of Achilles heels. And I think that's so true what you say. And it's something for us, I think, to really keep in mind as she gets older, is that she is like a sponge, and she's going to totally like emulate our and like already,
she likes the animal, the fox, but she calls it a fuck. And I don't know if it's just because she's heard me say it.
Yeah.
She's just like, fuck. And I'm like, no, it's a fox. So the first time her grandmother.
I am very sure it is not because she's repeating it. She's just learning how to say that very hard K. That's all.
I hope so. I think, but one of the things that I think amazes me is just every once in a while I look at her and I'm like, you're my kid. Like you're mine. And I get to be your dad. And it's just that the amount of times that I have that moment in the course of a day is what's really blown me away. Just that amazement that I'm actually a dad.
Well, yeah, because I think it kind of comes back to like what, Sean was saying, is that, I mean, it was the same, like, 20 years ago, if you told me that I'd be, sitting here on a podcast with you, talking about being a dad with my husband, with my daughter sleeping in the room, I'm like, that would never happen. Like, it seemed like something so far stretched, like just out there. And so, yeah, we're like, it's weird. Like, and it's like, we're constantly like, oh my God, we're dads. Like, we're dads.
I was just going to ask you that. Do you feel like you're old enough to be a dad? Like, you look at other dads out there and you're like, why are you guys so old? Like, what?
Right?
We don't look like that.
Yeah, 100%. Even though like I could have a 25-year-old, like,
I
you
mean,
know, but like,
technically I could be
like,
a grandfather if I had started early
but
enough. But
100%, yeah, you're like, no, this is like,
so
or like sometimes like when I'm like, if he leaves, I'm like, oh my God, he's left me at like, should I be left alone with the child? Like, no, but just being like,
well,
I'm
yeah,
a teenager, you know, like I'm just like,
well,
you know,
that first night in the hospital when the nurses they put us in our room and the nurse was like, okay, bye, and we're like, what? What? You're
like,
just
where are you
leaving
going?
us with
Like,
this?
yeah.
Like we don't know what we're doing. That was like a frightening moment of just kind of staring at her in the bassinet, being like,
So what was that first night at home? After you took Maisie home, what was that first night like for you guys?
well, because so our surrogate lives about 3 hours away in a town called Merritt, and the closest hospital is about almost an hour from there, further away in Kamloops. So we had to, when her water broke, we had to drive up that day, and Louis' dad booked an Airbnb, a house in Merritt for, he basically booked it for the month.
It's just like, we didn't know how long
because we didn't
there.
know when she was coming. And so, yeah, Sarah had just been visiting us for the baby shower. 2 days later, she had gone home and her water broke, and we had to drive up. And so Louis' mom and stepdad and dad all came up there to Merritt. My parents came up for the day too. So we had the first night in the hospital, and then when they sent us home, it was like
we felt like we'd been there for like days. It would only
it
been
felt like
36
so
hours.
long, and then like having the thought of like, oh, that garbage is smelling. I think they come every second day to replace it, and I'm like, I haven't even been here for 2 days. How would I know that? And then, but as we were leaving the hospital, the cell phone rang, and it was the hospital, and we're like, shit. They're like, give her back, give her back. But he had just forgotten some necklaces in the hospital. Yeah. But then we drove, like, we were so tired because we'd both been up awake all night, basically staring at her. And I'm like trying to stay awake in the car as we drive back to Merritt. And I'm like, you have to wake up and keep me awake. And we got to Merritt, and we spent 2 nights there at the Airbnb. And that was just craziness. We had his mom there to help us a bit. And
it all kind of felt like surreal. Like, it's like, we weren't, like, I think we were running on adrenaline.
It was all
like,
adrenaline.
Like, it was just like,
and then our last night in Merritt, we knew we were leaving the next day. So Louis took Maisie into the living room and let me sleep. And you watched the movie.
I watched the movie Seven, which is a horrible movie to watch with a
young child. But she doesn't remember.
She's not. She doesn't remember. And I needed something a little bit like kind of like
keep me
up. Like so.
But then yeah, we drove home. We stopped at a small town called Hope for gas and lunch. And it's like a small. And it was it's a rednecky town. Like we were a bit kind of okay. And we had lunch at it's a local kind of place called Triple O's. It's a white spot. It's a burger joint that's local to kind of BC. I think maybe it's across Canada. I don't know, but it's in a gas station. So we're eating burgers in a gas station. But the amount of people that we had smiling at us, coming over and be like, "Are you two the dads?" And we're like, yes, and scared of the reaction, like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. That's amazing. And we were just like, this is just the most amazing response we could have gotten. And it was a year and a half later, we drove back through, stopped at that same place, and they brought over a little free burger for her because they was like, oh, your daughter's so cute. And we thought, so shout out to Hope. And then we got home and just we had our bassinet in the room, and I think you spend so much those first nights kind of like, did she breathe? Is she breathing still? Did she make a noise? And so you don't sleep much because you are kind of just like checking on her, and she was fine. She just slept, and that's what's so great about that newborn stage is they do sleep so much of the time.
Yeah, we could just carry her around in her little like thing. We prop her on the couch, and she just
sleeps.
Yeah.
Long gone days,
right?
How was that for was your experience the same, Louis, that first night?
Yeah, I think it was like, I remember it was like overwhelming kind of in the best way, but also it was nerve-wracking. I think that was like, it really hit being like, oh my God, this is like, there's no going back. It's your,
she's here to stay.
She's here to stay. And just kind of,
I think the dog's upset about that,
but just that like idea of, you want to really do the best you can. And it really is like just day by day that you're just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Trying not to screw up.
yeah.
All right, so I have two more questions for you, and then we'll call it a day. One is, would you have another one?
Yes. Short answer, yes.
We have one more embryo in the freezer, so we have one more kind of shot at it, and we said we wouldn't make it more embryos because we can't get any more eggs for my sister. Just that if we could find a surrogate, and we thought we had the space and the money to do it, we would do it.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is right now. Space and money. It's, yes, are there moments in the middle of the night when she hasn't slept and we're exhausted and we're like, no, that's not happening again. Yes. But
those are memories that get forgotten real quick.
Yeah, exactly. You forget the bad times really, really quick.
Well, it's like the whole surrogacy journey. She's so amazing. I forgot that it took us 6 or 7 years to get her. Like that whole roller coaster of disappointments is a blur, and I'm just like, everything turned out the way it was supposed to, and we've got her.
Like I think
worth it,
because
right?
exactly, 100%. And I think because we have her and being on the other end of that kind of like wave, I don't know if we would, we wouldn't create embryos again or go down that road again. But we've got that embryo. Why not? We also I don't think would be close to adoption, and so it's it's one of those things.
Because we did talk about that.
We did look into that sector here, but again, here in BC, like in Canada, it's very different and really challenging.
Because our understanding of the adoption process here is there's 3 ways to adopt. You can adopt an older local child, and that's through the ministry, the social services ministry. And so the social worker pairs you with children.
Picks you.
If you're adopting a local baby, there's one agency, and you're picked by the mom. And then it just opens up to international adoption. And so then basically the country picks you based on their criteria of who they allow to adopt.
Right.
And they're like, they try to, they're like, they want to try to place.
They would like to place, internally. So, But we wouldn't.
But so that's a long answer. Also,
but the question was, would we have a second? Yeah.
But I'm sorry, that was a yes. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, right?
My last question here is from each of you. What is the one piece of advice you would give to someone who is looking to expand their family today?
Mine would be patient. It's really hard, but you will get there. I think after doing it for 6 years, thinking we wouldn't get there, once you're there, you kind of, like we were just saying, you forget about all the roadblocks and this and that, and it really makes you just so grateful to where you are. Because there's so much that's out of your control.
Yeah,
I think that's the really frustrating part, and it's hard to get lost in and to try not to focus on that and blame yourself, blame someone else. Like, it's just a lot of it can be circumstantial, and that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So aside from the keep going for it thing, it's kind of I would recommend just making sure you have that village. Like as you're waiting for either adoption or surrogacy to go through, build your village so that you have that support for yourself and for your child around you to help make things easier.
I think those are extremely good points. The last thing that I wanted to say is, for LGBTQ couples, there's such an intentionality in becoming parents that I think it's really creating the type of kids that we kind of hope we had today as adults. Because from an LGBTQ perspective, there is always a long road to getting your first child. It's not as, I don't want to use the word easy, but it is not as short of a path as it would be for those who have natural born kids, right? You wake up one day and sometimes it's, oops, I have a kid. For LGBTQ couples, it's like it took 5 years, it took 7 years. We had to spend this, and we had to, unfortunately, they forced us to take a class here, and we have to do that, so it's like, so I very much appreciate parents like you guys that have done the work and have kids and are raising them in the most intellectual way possible, and are okay making, errors. And, I made a mistake. Now we get to change it. I'm building a community. I'm learning. I thought one way. Now I think a different way, or I have enough knowledge to say, no, I'm not going to do that. So I think, again, thanks for following Fathernetics. Thanks for this interview, this podcast. I will continue to be in touch as to when this will go live, but of course we'll continue to connect in between now and then.
Of course. Great. Thank you for having us.
Really, thank you, Sean. Say hi to Maisie for me. This was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Do it. You can never find somebody do it like me. I'ma turn it all the way up, cause it kamikaze. Go ahead and try, baby. You are gonna see that you'll never ever find somebody